Hey, I'm Amber, and I'm one of the authors here on Grace Every Day, and we decided that we wanted to start having guests on here just to talk about what God is doing in their lives, and I want to introduce our first guest to you. This is Tamela Rigg.
Hello.
And I know Tamela from church, actually, and the truth is, we're not super close. We don't know each other that well yet, but every time we talk or we have a conversation, she always has really cool stories about what God's doing. I can just tell that, she walks with Him, and He's a real part of her life. And so I wanted to have her on here and just kind of share what, He's doing in her ministry and in her personal life. And so I just wanted to start out by asking you my favorite question, which is, what is God teaching you right now?
Well, Amber, right now God's teaching me, quite honestly, just to be still. We've tried personally making some choices that aren't working out, and where they seem to be wise and what you would think God would want you to do, and but they're not. None of them seem to be working out. So we've just decided that right now we're just supposed to be still. Personally, on a ministry sense, we're really being taught it's about relationships. It's not about, we just had the missionary that we're actually going to South Africa to see. He was here a couple weeks ago, and he met with us, and he said, it's not about accumulating numbers, it's about creating disciples.
That's good.
And yeah, it was, it actually went along with what God's been telling us, and that is to build the relationships with the people at the river downtown, with the kids, with the parents, and that will bring on, if you want to say, more numbers.
Sure.
Rather than gathering a whole bunch of numbers and not being able to take care of them all.
Yes.
We feel quite the opposite, that we're supposed to take care of them, and then God will abundantly bring the people.
That's really good. That's good. And sometimes I find that it can be hard to be still in this environment that we live in, because it's like go, go, go.
Absolutely.
Like you're with people and you get your phone out and you're like looking at stuff, and it's just hard to be still and be with, make that relationship work and be with the person that you're with. So that's really good. Thing, and I've learned that, and I'm learning that, so that's really cool. Okay, so also you're involved in a downtown ministry that ministers to kids and families. So tell us a little bit about that, how that got started, and how you're involved.
Okay, well, the River Downtown, for those of you who don't know, is actually a community outreach center of the River Church. It started out with just a clothing closet, and then about a year ago, it has expanded to a furniture warehouse with appliances, all types of furniture. Yep.
That's awesome.
Even some other baby items, bikes for kids, stuff like that people will donate. And then we've also sort of enhanced the food program that goes on there. We've actually opened up a room now that before we were just handing people their food. Again, it goes back to relationships.
Sure.
We were just giving them what they needed, and that was it. We weren't building relationships with them. So we've just recently opened up a room that the people can come in and sit beforehand. And we have a pastor there and some other people who just love on them and talk with them. And it's actually been amazing, the change in the people just in opening up that room.
Really?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
is
Actually, it's been unbelievable. We've actually just in the few months have about 5 to 8 families just from who have come to the food pantry who are now coming to the River Church that never did before.
Wow.
Just since we've opened up that room.
That is so great.
Yeah, so God's teaching us that it's about building those relationships.
Absolutely.
But our biggest program at the River Downtown is actually our Kids Club program.
Okay.
And that is a program that we actually bus in kids from all over Holly into our program. It's an awesome program that we actually got from our missionary in South Africa. Okay. And it does, what's so awesome about the program, it actually has 3 skits or lessons that are taught in different ways, so that maybe a child doesn't get it this way, but he gets it this way. So we have 3 skits, and then there's an overall message that encompasses all 3 of the skits that are done. And we just incorporated puppets into it, and the kids are absolutely loving the puppets. I can't believe how attentive they are to it, and they're absolutely loving it.
Now, is that Saturday mornings?
Saturday mornings from 9 to 11:30.
Okay.
Yes.
And you guys feed them breakfast, right?
Well, right now, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, but we actually feed them breakfast and lunch right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a need for workers for that, or are you guys kind of set? How's that?
No, we would absolutely love more committed adults, actually, for
Okay.
that program. The skits are awesome, so we need, quite honestly, some, maybe even some younger, even any age group, but we need for them to understand that it needs to be committed. The kids need to see them on a regular basis,
Sure.
Otherwise they don't build those relationships, which is all that we're about.
Yep.
So we're looking for people who likes to do skits. They don't last long,
Okay.
5 minutes at the most, you
Oh.
know. We're always looking for bus drivers. We have 2 awesome bus drivers right now, but quite honestly, I don't even think they've gotten a break all year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, you know, if we even had somebody who'd be willing to fill in now and again, you know, so they could take a little break.
Okay.
And then we also need people to ride the buses, and those are the most important people, is to assist on there, because they're the ones that, quite honestly, get the most time with them.
Yeah.
You know, they get to sit on that bus for at least an hour, 45 minutes,
Talk
and
with
can
them.
talk with them and find out what their home life's about. How can we help them? How can, you know, what's going on in their lives, so that we can tell it to all of our leaders, so we can pray for them. But at the same time, if there's any way to meet their needs, we can do that.
That's great. I know that the bus ministry is, you know, there's something I hadn't been used to before, like until I started going to this church. But I know our pastor was bussed in, and that's how he, you know, came to know the Lord. So that's a really neat thing that you guys do, and that's awesome. And so, you know, we'll have below this video the list of maybe things that people, how they can get involved. Did you want to talk about the mission trip that you're going on?
Sure, a little bit. Key of Hope is where we're going to in Durban, South Africa. And God perfectly provided it, and I believe there's a bigger story continuing on with this. But when we went to visit Dan last year, we saw his program, which is his kids club.
Sure.
And we saw how it ran. And it was conveniently at the time that we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with our kids program. And so I came home, had my husband go check out Power Company, which also does it out in Pontiac. So we were able to take 2 or 3 of our leaders so that they could actually see it hands-on how it was supposed to work. And Lord's just brought it all about just perfectly. So the fact that we're actually going again, and I believe it's perfect timing. We've had time to develop the program for a year, but now it's time to take it to the next level.
Yes.
And I believe that's what, quite honestly, my husband's going to see when we go, is he's going to see that different level of it,
Sure.
that we can now take it forward and implement some new stuff into it that we haven't yet.
It's going to be exciting. Okay, so you told me about a story recently, and you had me pray that you guys would get the food provided for you for the summer. So tell us what happened with that, how that all unfolded.
Yes, well, we've been praying for a while now to be able to get into the school system, but we always never know what God has in store. My husband was actually asked to speak at one of the elementary schools,
Oh, cool.
Which started this. And then one of the moms of the kids club, her child comes to kids club, and she heard about this grant that the schools were getting to feed children. So she told Veronica, who heads up the school system program, about us and our program, and she called us up and said, we got this grant to feed children. We understand that you have a program for kids, you know, wondering if you guys wanted to be a part of this. And you know, it was just like, it was all too good to be true, quite honestly. You know, I made sure, I said, you understand we're a church, we're an organization that talks about Jesus. She's
Yes.
like, yes. She goes, our grant provides food for kids.
Amen.
Doesn't matter what the program is or who it is, we just provide food.
So awesome.
I asked her a bunch of questions she couldn't answer, so it actually ended up that I met with her and the state representative of the grant.
Okay.
And just told them everything we did, how we do it, why we do it, and it's been phenomenal. They have provided everything. Condiments, they actually prepare it and everything, they deliver it to our place, they give us
Amen.
napkins, plates, cups, everything we possibly need. There's not one thing that we have to do.
You know, what comes to my mind is abundantly more
Exactly.
than we could think or ask or
Oh,
imagine.
yeah.
You probably didn't even think.
No. I mean, we still anticipated some type of cost, and we're grateful we have some donors who donate monthly to our program, but this, it was phenomenal, you know, that we were able to even utilize some of those monies in other areas to help the kids out even more. But it is abundantly more than what we could even pray for, and they're actually not only supplying for Kids Club, they're actually supplying for our VBS all week long.
That's great.
They're actually going to do a community barbecue for our backpack distribution.
Wow.
And then we were able to, last year we tried to get into certain areas, certain mobile home parks in the area to do our kids club, and they wouldn't do it. And that actually goes back to relationships. How would we ever expect somebody to just allow us to come in until we build a relationship and a respect?
Sure.
Which we went around this year and asked all those locations, and all of them immediately said yes.
Oh my goodness.
So before we
God.
start our fall kickoff, we're actually going every day to a different mobile home park in Holly. We're putting on our kids club program. We're going to pass out flyers the week before, and the Holly Schools is providing the lunch for all the kids.
Amen. That is amazing.
Yeah, it goes on beyond that though.
Keep going.
Right now, they actually have an after-school program that they are believe that they have gotten the grant for, and if that goes through, our food could be provided all year long.
Oh my goodness.
But they're also willing to provide Fusion, all of their food.
Wow.
Which is another one of our children's programs for our middle schoolers and high school. So it's far beyond what it could be. And not only that, I can add on. We got computers donated.
Wow.
I have a friend who works at a hospital, and we actually had like 20 computers donated, but they've just been sitting there because we just don't have the time. Yeah. And in talking with the lady at the schools, we were just talking about what the river downtown could be. You know, this is what we would love to see.
Sure.
You know, we talked about these computers being set up for people to come in and utilize in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get one lady who's helping us, Shelley Donner, has put together a few computers for us. But this other gentleman was Veronica's husband.
Oh, okay.
And so now a total stranger is coming over to help us put computers in downtown.
Amen.
Yeah.
God provides.
Yeah, and you know God's doing something in all the people that are delivering. We
Oh,
have delivery
sure.
people, and we also have the mom, quite honestly, who is not a believer, who even got this whole thing started.
Amen.
Her kids come to Kids Club, but she never has, and well, there's no doubt. You know it's going to
God's
happen.
at work.
Without a doubt.
He's so faithful.
Yes.
So I love hearing stories like this and just sharing about all that God's doing. You know, it's so funny. You kind of like are in your own little bubble and like, God's doing all these great things, but it's so neat to see that He's not just doing it in my life, but He's doing it in your life and all of your lives, that God is He's just moving. He's so much bigger than I think I ever have realized. And I'm just...
Oh, yeah. That's what, you know, when you were talking about earlier, we don't really know each other. We don't really know each other personally, but in the Lord, I mean, I know that I can count on you to pray for our ministries. I know that you would equally be excited about anything that I would have to share about the Lord, and that's, I'll say that's the connection there.
That's right.
Without a doubt.
That oneness in the Spirit.
Yep,
Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
You know, telling us everything that you've got going on, and we'll definitely be praying, and we'll put some the prayer requests and needs and how you can help if you're interested below. And thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.